Hello everyone, this is Brittany from Textile Indie. I want to share with you something that I am learning how to do and experimenting with, which is ice dyeing. It's a new technique for me and I want to share my journey with you so we can learn together. So I have right here a wash tub that I got from the dollar store. Just your basic dish tub, and I filled that with a gallon of water. I used warm water. And then I took soda ash dye fixer, which is, it treats the fabric so that the fabric absorbs the dye and it stays color fast and wash fast for longer than if you didn't use it. And this is a Jacquard brand. It's something I had on hand. You can get it at most craft stores or online. I have gloves for dealing with the fabric in the soda ash mixture, a teaspoon for scooping out the dye, a spoon for mixing the soda ash into the water, my measuring cup for the soda ash, measuring cup for the water, and then here I have a salad spinner bowl, which we'll use when we get to the dyeing point. So I have my gallon of water, which I poured in the soda ash, mixed that up, and then I placed in my fabric. I have some muslin and some organic cotton sateen that I put in there, and it has sit there for 15 minutes in the water and soda ash mixture. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze out the water and set aside this bucket. So I'm going to squeeze out any excess water here. And if you get splashes everywhere, the soda ash just dries into a white powdery substance, and so it doesn't make a mess. It won't bleach your clothes or anything. So don't worry about that. So I'm just going to set that there, the last of it here. And I'm dyeing multiple pieces of fabric. I have just some random squares and pieces that I have from an old quilt project. So you can dye a large piece or smaller pieces. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to set aside my bucket of water and soda ash. Move that over and bring in a totally empty, clean tub here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my salad spinner, and this is what I'm going to place my fabric in. So put that into the tub and then put the fabric into the spinner. And this is a larger piece, and so I'm going to unfold it and I'm going to stack it into the spinner so that when the dye starts to drip down through the fabric, it doesn't it's not as focused on one area, but it's more random. So I'm just going to place that in there. And then on top of that, I have a bag of ice here that I've been saving up, creating in my freezer. And I'm going to pour ice on top here. And I'll establish it there. You want about 1 or 2 layers of ice, not too much. You don't want it to get super soupy. That's about right. So I'm just going to place these around here. And then I have Procyon dye. I wanted to try turquoise, and this is a Jacquard acid dye that I wanted to try as well, and this is teal. So I'm going to open these up. I'm going to take my scoop and just take a little bit of the dye and sprinkle it on top of the ice. Just sprinkling it out randomly. Placing it over the ice. Okay, I think that's enough, and that's the turquoise. Show you close up here what that looks like. There's that, and then I'm going to do the teal. I think I'm going to pick a different color for that. So I'm going to set aside this. I think I'll try this Procyon Cobalt Blue. And sprinkle that. Just in different places. Trying to hit places I didn't hit with the turquoise. Okay, a little bit more. I like color, so I'm gonna add a lot. And I can already see as the ice begins to melt, the dye is starting to drip down. See little bits of the fabric starting to take on the dye. So now I let this sit until the ice completely melts, and then we'll see what happens. Something I forgot to tell you to do is to raise your bowl above the bottom of your tub, because you want the ice that's dripping down and the water and the mixed dye to not absorb into the fabric at the bottom. So you want space underneath your bowl. And so necessity is the mother of invention. So I pulled out my skewers and I stuck them through here, through some of the holes, and lifted the solid spinner up so that there's some space underneath for the water to drip down. And hopefully that works. We'll see. Okay, we're back at it. Ice dyeing. So all the ice melted on my fabric, and it's been sitting there for 24 hours. It took a long time for the ice to melt, and then you want the dye to sit on the fabric for complete 24 hours. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up the fabric out of the solid spinner, and I'm going to wash it out in the sink to wash out all excess dye. Okay, so we have our fabric in the sink, and I'm going to put my gloves back on because we're going to be dealing with the excess dye on the material. I'm going to turn my water on to just cool. I'm going to start lifting up the fabric and letting the water run over it. I'm just going to take one piece at a time. And my water pressure isn't great, so I think I'm going to use the spray nozzle. Here. And what I'm trying to do here is rinse out all the excess dye and any dye that didn't take to the fabric. And I'm looking for the water to run clear as it runs over the material. This is a little splashy. Process is a bit splashy, so just be careful. Wear something that can get stained. And that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to wring it out. And I can still see some blue in the water there. So I'm going to keep working at it. Keep washing it until all of the dye excess dye comes out and the water runs clear. So the fabric has been taken out of the wash and the dryer, and here's the piece that was on the top. This is the larger piece that I crinkled and put on the top of the bowl. As you can see, it has a wide gradation of the cobalt blue and the turquoise with some interesting patterns. I'll zoom in here and show you. Here's a second piece. This was in the next layer. And here's another batch of ice dyed pieces. This was near the bottom of the pile. So as the dye dripped down through the layers of the fabric, less and less dye touched the fabric and you see more white spots. So I'm noticing here that with the darker color, the cobalt blue, you can see a lot more distinctive patterning than with the turquoise. And I think that's because the color is darker and the way the dye took. And there you go, that's ice dyeing. My first experience with ice dyeing. I hope you try it. If you want more information, go to textileindie.com. There's a link up above to get more information and how-to tutorials. Thanks for watching.